Sometimes people are not honest about how they come out of alignment with God when they start chasing experiences, people, places, and things. Sometimes we are not truthful about our failures, about the mistakes that we've made along the way, and how we interrupt where we're supposed to be. We have paths, and there's times where we see things or we hear of other people having experiences, or we see it in social media, and we desire those experiences as well. And a lot of times their experiences are not for you. It's one thing to be inspired by someone else, but it's another thing to change the game plan and try to mimic what is not designed for you. I said it to say, when you start seeking your placement in places and within things, you start to take yourself out of alignment of the path that God has for you, because you start to chase things that you don't need to chase. Now, when I say chase, it is more of trying to get ahead quickly versus going through the process and flowing through it and allowing the ease of life to happen. And when you chase, you skip, you try to uh, surpass places and levels that you are designed to experience so you can grow and so you can truly stay behind God. That was one of my biggest lessons. I think it's fair to explain to the person who have deep desires to be in a better space financially, in relationships, and their mind, that there is a secret to get your desires and to manifest things. And that is the true path of faith, true path of trust God, and true path of getting out of God's way. And also, the best way to say it is to allow. So when I say allow, that is you having thoughts of things, but not, obsessing over those things. So for example, you start obsessing over certain thoughts, and there are things that you want and you are obsessing over it to where you're repeating it. You are trying to live and breathe it. You are trying to force it to happen. And there's a difference between forcing and allowing things to be. So in the forcing, you are trying to make things happen that one would happen either way without you getting so deeply involved, or two, not supposed to happen, but you're making it happen. So this can happen with relationships. It can happen with desiring money before you learn how to be a good steward. It can happen with in your career in taking the wrong job just because of money. It can manifest in different ways. And a lot of times people get impatient. So they feel like God is taking a long time. And what they don't realize is that there are certain behaviors and habits that God is trying to help that person steward so they can be trained up to manage what they're asking for. But so many people become so impatient that they try to take things in their own hands. And when people take things in their own hands, they're taking the control away from God to lead and guide. So when people hear about manifesting and they hear about making things happen, those things are all very true. It's just a matter of what's for you and what's not for you. So when you are trying so hard for something, you are forcing doors open that are not supposed to be open. Sometimes God will allow those doors to open when you're so persistent and when you're unwilling to wait, just to teach you a lesson. Truly, that is the process. That is what happens. A lot of times people are in situations that they often regret because they don't realize that they're trying to force these doors open that are not meant to be open, or they're not meant to be open at the time they're trying to make it happen. So let's just say there's a job that you want and you want it so bad, and you're thinking about it, and you're writing about it, and you're obsessing about it, and you're like, I want this, I want this, I want this. This job is mine, mine, mine. God, please, please, you're doing all these things that are so erratic and obsessive and trying to force it to happen. But here's the thing. If that job was meant for you, what I can tell you is it would happen very easily. So a lot of times you hear people give you all these things to think about, in terms of like recognizing your patterns and recognizing your thoughts. And here's the thing. Social media, you get so much information that many times people aren't really sitting to follow through on the instructions that they're receiving from someone's page and someone's advice. So, what I think would be easier for you to do that wouldn't take too much is in this moment, pause this video and think about what are the things that you wanted in life that happened very easily. See, that was the formula that I was missing. I kept on asking God, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Why is it that I'm doing certain things and things are not happening? I'm speaking it. I'm thinking about it. I'm, trying to force it. And the forcing understanding came later. But in it coming later, it was more of God, I'm speaking these things in existence. You said ask and receive, and I'm trying my best to be faithful and to trust the process. But what I had to realize is that with me having to do all those things, it wasn't easy. I wasn't walking into a situation that I was allowing to happen. I was trying to force it to happen. So, for those of you who are big on writing things down, I'm not saying to stop doing that. What I'm saying is there's a difference between you writing things down and you just allowing it to be versus going back and obsessing over what you're asking for. So, if you're asking for, a relationship that makes you feel good, and you're going out there and you're, on these dating apps and you are, begging God for the right man, maybe God is trying to help you identify what woman you need to be for that man before he comes in your life. Maybe there's things that God is trying to mold you into and become the better version of yourself. So the ideal man, you will, be able to join with him and he will come into your life. And not to say, you will be perfect or that person will be perfect, but there are things within the relationship that will be more at ease because you have learned patience, because you have learned how to be respectful, slow to speak, how to be joyous and loving, not complain, not bicker, think negatively. There's a lot of things that God help us through in our day to day that we take for granted. So you have to take time to remember. Okay, it's about remembering right now. How do you remember the things, or how do you create the time to remember how the things that you wanted came to be? Now, everyone experiences things that they want, and people experience things that they don't want. How did the things that you want come into your life? That is the key for you to understand. There are things that you have experienced that you wanted and you got it and you didn't even realize that God gave it to you. You didn't even realize that you literally have walked and you're walking in answered prayers. And you are walking in a space of where thoughts become things. And that is, the understanding, the wisdom that you need to apply to your life. Thoughts become things. What you ask for internally with the ease come into your life so easily. But the things you're forcing to happen, those things are most likely the areas in your life where things are chaotic or you are not applying the right discipline to those things. So I would love for you to take the time to understand when you force things to happen, regardless of where it is and how it falls in your life, you are trying to interfere with God's plan. Whether you acknowledged it, whether you understood it before this moment or not, you have been forcing things to happen in your thoughts and also in your energy. What you give your energy to becomes. But as a lot of times, the things you're giving your energy to should not be. So I invite you to slow down. I invite you to be patient. I invite you to ask God, What is it that you want me to know and understand? The lesson here is do not interfere with God's plan. Stop trying to get ahead of where you're supposed to be. Stop trying to skip the lessons that you're supposed to learn. Stop thinking you're missing out because you have everything you need. You have everything that you desire, even if it is not showing up in your reality. And when I say that, that means that there are things you have thought about that God is going to give you, but it's just not time yet. And it's not fair to yourself to delay the process by trying to get ahead. God is going to give you your deepest desires if it is good for you. Okay. And the word if, that means, yeah, you might have disappointments. Yeah, you might have wanted that job. Yeah, you may have wanted that relationship. Yes, you may want more money, but maybe it's not the time for you to steward the things that you're asking for. But remember yourself. Remember where you have been. There are so many things that you have experienced that you wanted that was good for you that came easy. And that was my journey. I had to remember that what God has given me is many experiences that were good for me, down to the places we've traveled, down to the home we live in, the neighborhood, the school district, the jobs, the salary, the finances, all those things have came to be. The cars I wanted to drive, my husband as well. It has all come to be because we thought about it and we allowed it to happen. We went through, you know, years of receiving. And a lot of times people are receiving what they're asking God for. They're just not taking the time to really connect to the fact that this is an answered prayer. So take time to say, God, thank you. Take time to look at all the blessings that you've been experiencing. Take time to reflect on whether it's material or not. Whatever it is, it has been a blessing to you. And rather than think ahead about all the things you want and obsess over it, go back to a place of ease. You can think about it, but you don't have to obsess over it. God hears you. God knows your thoughts. There's nothing that misses God. So if it is for you, know that God is preparing you for you to be a good steward of what it is you're asking for. And if you don't have it yet, that means there's just more work for you to do. Okay.